Now you want to click on the images and search for the horse. If you go down to the second row, you'll see the mandala there. Go ahead and select it. Put insert images and it'll come up. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this by hitting the duplicate button. Up in the upper right corner, drag it off to the side. I always work on a copy. So now you'll hit the contour button and you're going to hide all contours. And what you're going to do is you're going to select everything but the horse and hide it all. So now you have one blank image, flat image. I always make a copy of the original whenever I do anything. So to make the second image now, we're going to focus on how we're going to layer the images over the bottom, which is our black layer. So we'll select one of the horses with all the detail, and we're going to go ahead and select the contour that we do not want to see. So I'm going to select the hair first and work with that. So what I'm going to want to do is hide everything that's in the face. So you have to just very carefully go through and select. And as I'm showing you here, you have to see if the lines are also available or easy to cut. So it's just trial and error as to how you pick what you want to see the first go around. So as you can see, I'm getting rid of everything that's in his neck area. And you just simply wait till the highlighted area is selected and then click on it and it will disappear. Sometimes it's hard and you have to go over to the side to see where the images are and then click on that side view. You want to make sure you get all the little nuances. So I sped it up here for you to see that I went ahead and selected. Now this one I had a real hard time finding, so I left it there. So I'm going to show you a little trick. Go to your shapes, click on the circle, make the circle a little bit smaller, bring it over to your object, cover your hole. I'm going to change the color so it's all black. Select both the little circle and the horse. Hit your weld button. And it welds now and you don't have that little circle anymore or the little hole showing through anymore. So that's just a little trick. So now that we have that, we're going to work on the hair as far as what we want to do with the layer. And at this point, I always save my project after I've done a little bit of work. So I'm going to zoom in because I'm going to be working on the hair. I'm looking to see if there are little spots that I need to pay attention to. Your Cricut machine is not going to cut these little tiny things. You also have to make sure that your other black lines inside of the other lines are not touching, or if that's okay that they're touching, you just have to be very careful about and think about how your Cricut's going to cut. So I just kind of like to take a good look at all the little tiny specks to decide how I'm going to contour and leave things out. So hit the contour button in the lower left screen. And now for this first layer, I'm going to try to pick parts of the hair to give it more depth, but not select any of those little tiny holes. So I'm going to go ahead and hide all those little holes that are not going to cut in the Cricut or cause you problems. Sometimes it's hard to get that selected, but there we go. And I'm going to select all these little holes because they're touching the line and they're just going to be hard to cut. And we can add those later, and I'll show you how to do that. And if you can see over to the left, you have your black one, and it's showing you select those little dots that they're going away on your horse. So now I'm going ahead and I'm fast forwarded this for you so you can see I'm just selecting all the things that aren't going to cut or are touching lines and will cause you issues with your Cricut cutting. I wish it was this fast, but unfortunately it is not this fast. So this is something you can do when you're sitting watching TV or something. Just mindlessly go ahead and select all these things and get it the way you want it to look. So there, I've finished that one. Now you can see I kind of look at it and take a once over to see. I noticed that I unselected the horse by mistake, the overall horse. So I'm going back in now and selecting the horse again. Now I'll close. And now I have a good idea of what's left with this horse, and it looks pretty good. I like it. So I saw a little issue with a spot down below, so I'm going to go ahead and try to fix that now. What it is, it's a line that has is touching another line, and I just want to correct that. So I'm going to take the triangle, make it smaller, rotate it. I'm going to change it to the color to red so I know what I'm working with. It didn't take the first time. Let's try that again. And now drag it over to the spot that we're going to try to correct. It's a pretty small area, so I'm going to zoom in on it. There, I can see it a little better. So now I know I have to make it a little bit smaller or a little bigger to hide all that black. And what we're trying to do is cover the black so that it's not touching the other line. So it looks like the little circles again. So we just have to, little by little, adjust it till it's covered the way we want it. Just takes patience. A lot of patience. And you all know that Cricut sometimes is a little wonky. If you try to select it and put it there, it'll just ever so slightly go down or up a little bit. Then you have to do it again. So now I've selected both objects, and I'm going to go ahead and slice it. And what I'm doing is I'm removing that black part, which in this case was 3 layers. And see, now we no longer have that issue. That cut won't be an issue anymore. Then I delete my extra pieces, just so I don't forget. So now I'm going to make just another little correction. It's that little tiny spot that left a little divot. So again, I'm going to select my triangle, make it really small. Tiny, tiny. Bring it in, try to get that little spot covered. Just have a little bit of adjusting to do. There we go. Then select them both again. and hit weld. And now we don't have that little spot anymore. So I'm going to zoom back out, take a look at it and see if I'm missing anything. I see that this one little area is blank and the other ones have lines and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add some black to that area. I don't want it cut out like that. So I'm just going to use my circle, turn it red so I can see what I'm working with. And basically I'm just going to fill in this spot. So I just have to make things smaller, get it in there so that it's touching the black lines. Copy it and paste it and put a bunch of little circles in there. Until that spot's covered. Can move the horse around, move the dots around. It just takes more patience. So right now you can see I'm just going to weld that together so I can see where I'm at. And then I'll just continue to add more circles until I get it filled. Circles, triangles, whatever shapes you can use to get that spot filled. There we go. Select it all and weld it again. And at this point I'm going to go ahead and save. Now I see that one spot on top of the head that doesn't have anything. We took the circles out, if you remember. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some of the patterns that are in the horse, and I wanted to show you how to do this. So you could bring in a graphic or select another image from another from the images library and bring it in, but you'll follow the same premise as far as like figuring out how to get that image into there. So what I did was I made a rectangle that was about the same size as the little hair that's blank. And I'm going to try to figure out on this horse which area I want to use to fill in that area so that the horse is consistent. So I'm just kind of checking to see if I can get a good fit anywhere and if it will make sense in that little spot. So I did finally decide to choose that area right there so I can put some stripes in there. So what I'm going to do is make a copy of the horse, move that off to the side, always work on a copy. I'm going to reposition that a little bit and then I'm going to select both of them and slice it. So now I have this graphic to work with. And you know there's always a couple of layers that you have to remove. Okay, and then I'll delete that horse because we're not going to use it anymore. Now out of these three I have to decide which one I want to use on that spot. So I'm going to want to choose the one that doesn't have any lines on the outside of it. So that's the top one. Otherwise I'll be having to delete and try to match lines and on the ridges. So that's what I'm showing you here. We're going to use this one. I'm going to swing it around to see which side will go best. Looks good. Might have to make adjustments to the size of it. Bring it over. I'm going to make it red so I can see what I'm working with. Yep, looks like it'll work pretty good. Resize it, make sure that my lines are touching so that when it cuts, I'm always thinking about when it cuts what it's going to look like. And that looks like it might work. A little bit of adjusting to do, but that should work pretty good. So I'm going to take that to the back so I can see where the lines are of the dark part, the black part, to see if my red part is in line for a good cut. So I was thinking I might have to adjust it a little bit. Okay, now I know that I'm going to have to remove some of that red. So I'm just making an elliptical shape and dragging it over to the horse to see if it'll fit underneath the little hair that we're going to fill in. And it does. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on the red part. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this yellow so I can see what I'm working with. I'm going to drag the red behind like we did before. I'm going to make it a little bigger because I want to make sure that the cut will be good. Just keep working at it until you get it right where you want it. Okay. Now you take your yellow spot, and now what you're going to do is you're going to place it all around that underneath, so you're kind of hiding the extra red that you see. Now you're not attaching or doing anything yet, you're just placing little circles to cover all the red that you see on the outside areas. I'm just making copy and paste, making them bigger or smaller as I need them, rotating them, and I want to make sure that I can see the black outline all around. Don't want to cover the black outline because we need that. Okay, then I moved the horse out of the way because this is what I need to work on to cut. So I'm going to grab all the yellow over to the right, and what I'm doing is I'm holding down the shift key as I go down the right and select all of the yellow spots. Once I've selected them all, then I'm going to attach them all. Oh, sorry, I welded them all. Excuse me. Okay, and now I select both and I slice. So what that does is it gets rid of all of those red spots outside of the little hair area that I don't need. I do have some little tiny spots though. I'm going to go ahead and delete those. There's little bitty tiny spots that I need to get rid of. So again, I'm just going to select a circle and make it smaller, cover up the spot I don't want on both sides, copy and paste, make the circle bigger. Cover that. And then just one at a time, I'll just go ahead and slice those other extra pieces out that I don't need. I accidentally included the other circle, and you can't do that unless they're attached or welded. There you go. So now remove that one little circle and you'll see it's going to get rid of that little tiny spot. There we go. And then the big circle, we're going to slice the big circle out and all those other little spots. Okay, at this point you want to delete all the extra little bits and pieces you have. Bring the horse over, adjust it so that it's right on where you thought you needed it. Then select them both, and you're going to weld it. And now you have your spots. I did see a little extra spot right there, so I'm just going to bring this little circle I had left over, make it smaller, and slice out just that little piece that was hanging over. So I just brought it over, select both, slice, and then remove that little divot. A little tricky now. So I'm just going to go over here and select it over here and delete. Select, delete, select, delete. Sometimes that's easier. Okay, get rid of those other pieces. And now I'm very happy with this layer. Looks like it's going to cut really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and save it and make another copy, because now I'm going to work on the next layer. So I have to decide what I want to do as far as do I want to get rid of all these pieces? Do I want to, what I want to do with the next layer? So that's what I was working on here. So at this point, this layer is going to be actually underneath the one we just did. So that's why I removed those. I'm turning a different color so I can now see if everything's lining up, if it's going to be where I want it. So that layer now is going to be on top of the black. I'm going to center everything so that they're equally distributed and so I can see. So now with the other piece, because I have more cut out, that's going to be the third layer. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color on that one. Oh, I think I realized that now I need to work on the face. So I made a copy of that second layer we just did. And now I'll change that color. So here I'm just deciding which layers are which. So I've got all the hair layers now. So I have the black, the middle one, which is the brighter purple, and the light purple. So you can see now you have 3 areas for the hair, so it'll give it dimension. So here I'm just going ahead and recentering them all together so I can see what it looks like, and I'm happy with that. So I did delete that extra horse. I didn't need it at this point, but now I'm looking at the original to see what the face looks like. It's just a matter of deciding what you want the next layer to be, what you want in the foreground, in the background, and you just take it from there. That's what I'm trying to decide what I want to do next. So I'm going to make a copy because I know I'm going to be using the face area. And I always work on a copy. So we're going to work on some contouring again by selecting the pieces that we want in the face. So I got rid of everything, and now I'm going to go select what I want to show in the face. And you can see that if you bring that horse over behind the black one, you can see what you're doing with the contours, which is kind of cool because you can't move that hide contour screen. So here I'm just deciding what I want to add and what I don't want to add, and making sure that the pieces will cut properly, not touching each other, leaving out all the little pieces that I don't want. I'm just trying to decide if I want to bring the face in fully or do 2 layers. Excuse me. And then I was looking at it and seeing now what have I missed? So I'm going to bring the horse over. I made a copy of that layer and bring this horse over. I'll select the 2 and center them. And then you'll slice them. So now you can see you've got the one that already has all the holes in it, and now you've just took the face out of it. So you don't need that one anymore, and you don't need that one anymore. So delete them. I should have brought that horse up a little bit first. All right. So now we see, and I'm going to make it a different color. Lay it on top, see if I like how it looks. Center it. And then I realized that I missed a bunch of spots. So I have a spot there, a spot there, a spot there that I missed bringing in so that it would cut and show through. So I'm going to undo, our favorite undo button, what I did, so that I can do a little more contouring on it. So just bring it back over and get it, undo everything you just did up to the point that you'll have that horse available to contour again. So I'm undoing the slice. That was our extra layer that we had created. So I have to undo one more time. There we go. Just move it out of the way. Go back to the horse to contour it. And then bring in the pieces that I missed. I had to take a minute to look back and see what all I missed. So hit the contour button again and bring back in the pieces that are missing. You can always draw your own shapes. You don't have to use these. So I could have brought in some triangles and some other things. I'll show you in a minute what I did underneath the eye. You can do it that way. I just really had a hard time selecting some of these pieces, so I had to go find them and then select them over there. Sometimes you hover over them and they're just not there. So now I check in again and realized I left out the neck. So I'm going to go back over there and do the neck. And I'm skipping over a couple because they were touching. Looks like there's a little bit more. That one last row should be good to go. Okay, there was that one that was touching, so I left it. So this is how I'm going to correct all of those. So you just bring in the shape that you need, and you see I recolored it, got it in there so that it will make a good cut, selected both and did a slice and pulled them out. So now I have my hole again, and it'll cut fine. Center them again. I'm just speeding this up because we had already done all that, but I just re-sliced it. Now I'm going to fix the little area under the eye, and what I did was I selected the diamond shape, made it red like we've done before. I wanted to bring an eyeball in, so I worked with the eyeball a little bit and worked with some adding some circles and some spots that I felt needed some more design. Now I'm working with the eyeball. Bigger, smaller, up here, down there. What looks good, what doesn't look good. Decided I didn't like it, so I just deleted it. So then I select each one, do the slice, and then delete the extra pieces. Just one at a time. I do them one at a time to make sure that I liked everything that was going on and everything was looking good. Recolored the horse again, added all the layers, centered them, and saved the project. I was just going back and looking to see if I had everything that I wanted. See if I needed any more layers. And then I realized that I had missed the nose somehow at some step. So I know this is a little fast, but all I'm doing is just checking the layers, checking the nose, checking everything, reslicing what was left out. You see how I have that nose piece. So I just pulled out the layer that I needed to work on to slice the nose out. See, I'm missing just that little piece. And what I wanted to do was I wanted the nose to show through. Yeah, so I realized that I needed to have the nose, if you see the blue on the black, you'll see I needed to have that so that when I lay that top layer over, I'm not covering the hole in the pink, the hole that would show through. So see how you can't see it. You can't see the hole in the nose. So it just makes it flat. So you want to, when you're doing this, you want to try to make sure that everything, looks 3D. So I went ahead and sliced it out of the black layer. I had made a copy of the black layer and then sliced it out, and then now I'm just deleting it. Sorry, that might have gotten a little confusing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice this out of the pink layer so that the black will show through, so that he'll have a prominent nose. And I'm now, because it's a little difficult now, just showing you the reality of how painstaking this is, but now you have to decide where exactly that was. So I'm just kind of trying to measure and figure out the right placement for that nose. I don't want to undo everything I've done so far, so this is what I'm working with. So I will do my best to try to get it in the right spot so that I can slice it out. So just bear with me right here. I thought maybe if I brought this guy back over, I could see if that looked like it was in the right spot. And when I brought him over, it looked good. Good enough anyways. So then I just deleted the extra black slice that I had. So if I put this guy on top now, it looks pretty good. So now I'm going to select the nose piece and the pink layer. If you look over to the right, you can see those two selected, and then I'll slice. And now I can delete those nose pieces. I'm going to bring the blue back to the front because once you work on an area, it brings it to the front. So I need to send that back to the back and bring the blue back to the front, select them all and arrange and center. And it looks pretty good. I think it was a hair off, but it's okay. So I was just checking the different distributions to see if I could arrange it, or if it got off center or something like that. And the fact of the matter is just the nose was just slightly off, but it's good enough. So I'm just going to delete those pieces. Always hopeful. I was really trying to get to see if it was the nose that was off or if the Cricut kept jumping a little, but I finally decided that it was just, the nose was just off a little bit, but not a big deal. You won't even see when you put them together. And when you're doing this now, you can take your time to, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out what you want to do, how you want to do it. So I just went ahead and grouped them all together because you want to now check your mats to see if you have any like stray pieces, if we missed any, deleting anything, if there's anything you see that you want to readjust at this point. I did see these little tiny spots in this one area that are going to be troublesome for cutting. So I'm just checking which layers those little spots are on, so I can go back and contour them out. So I'm just going to select the layers there and contour them. You don't have to pull them all apart. So you see those little tiny spots, just click on them, make them go away. And then you won't have any issues with cutting. So I just check each one. Sometimes it's a little hard to see in this little tiny window, but try to select what you can. You may not have seen these on the mats. That's why I go back and I check every layer. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save my project again. I'll go ahead and check the mats again. Just checking to make sure those little spots are gone. And they are. Everything looks good. So that's pretty much the end of the horse. I hope you like it. It is a little challenging, so just have patience. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video and if there's anything else that I can bring to you that would help you learn how to do mandalas. These are from Design Space, so you can only get them in Design Space. You can share them with other Design Space users. That's about it. You can't save it outside of Design Space. You can build your own in Adobe Illustrator or in Inkscape and then import them into Design Space, but this was just a tutorial on how to use the already existing mandalas that are already in Design Space. I guess that's about it. Please join us on craftroomtime.com. We give you more tutorials and instructions there and offer free mandalas for you to use that you can import into Design Space, as well as other ones that are already available in Design Space. I thank you for watching and be sure to subscribe to our channel. Hope to see you soon.